Hi guys, it's Steve from Vintage Classics. This week I figured I'd show you some vintage hockey cards. Just grabbed a handful to show you today. Some of the greater players. Do a lot of baseball. My number one sport is baseball. Hockey is a close second, and football and basketball are there also. But I figured I'd do hockey today. Now that we have the finals all set between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers, I'm pulling for the Oilers only because I don't like some of the guys that play for Florida. But you got to respect the fact that they've been there 2 years in a row. So, but all right, for no further ado, let's get this started. I'm going to start off with something that's not a card, obviously, but I was going through some stuff and I found these 1987 Boston Bruins divisional final playoff ticket. They're all still on the original sheet. They would never torn off, whatever. You can see a little closer. I may take these and get them framed. What's the only thing I can think of doing with them? I just thought they're pretty neat. I've had them for obviously for a long time. I don't even remember where I got them from. Because it had been me, and I was here in I was in the military. I was in ¡87. I was stationed in Germany. But if had I been here and I had these tickets, I would have gone. They wouldn't be on the sheet still. But just figured I'd show you that. All right, I'm gonna start off with some of the all-time greats, and you know that I have to start with Bobby Orr, as I told you guys in all my videos. In my opinion, the greatest player. I know that's debatable with Wayne Gretzky and Gordie Howe and himself, Bobby Orr. But I favor Bobby Orr for obvious reasons. I'm in Massachusetts, huge Bruins fan. But it's close, I gotta say. But I gotta give it to Orr. I think he revolutionized the game, especially for defensemen, where in the old days, defensemen didn't rush the puck up, and they weren't offensive threats the way they are today. And mainly that's, I would say, because of the way Bobby Orr played. He, if you get a chance, if you've never seen his videos or had, unfortunately, didn't have the chance of seeing him play in his playing days. As a kid growing up, I saw a lot of Bobby Orr games. The guy was a magician with the puck. You couldn't get that puck off of his stick. In fact, I think it was Bobby Hull that said one time to the referee after the game, next time, can we play with two pucks? One for us to play with and one for Bobby, since we can't get the puck away from him. So I'll just go to show you the type of player he was. But here's a 1970-71 O-Pee-Chee, which is the French version of Topps. Bobby Orr, Art Ross Trophy winner. Right. Next up, we have a 1972-73 Topps. There's Bobby ready for anything to come along. Here we have a 73-74 Bobby Orr with the green around the end. I have the it's in a case over here. I have the Sanderson, Derek Sanderson O-Pee-Chee and Topps one. And the only difference in the cards in that particular one was the color, the border on the edge. So that'll be another video. Here's a 74-75 Bobby Orr. You can see Jerry Cheevers in the background with the famous mask that has the stitches all over it. Wherever the puck hit on the mask, he would have stitches put there to depict what would have happened to his face had he not been wearing that mask. The puck would have struck that location. So, but you can see him in the background. For those of you that are around my age, I'm 61. Or older, the Bruins in those days, that was the heyday. We had Esposito, we had Orr, we had Cashman, Busick, Hodge, Johnny McKenzie, Jerry Cheevers in goal. We had Eddie Johnson as the backup goal. Just so much talent. Derek Sanderson. If I should have showed one of the cards. It's packed in my file cabinet. But one year, the top three scorers in the NHL were all Bruins, and that's that's something you don't see too often. I don't think it's been happened very often at all. But all right, next is the 1975-76 Topps. In the background, you see Bobby Orr playing the Atlanta Flames, now the Calgary Flames. But there you go. Next, we have another 75-76 Bobby Orr All-Star card. All right, we got a 1976-77. This is a very painful card for me to show, and a very painful card for any Bruins fans to see. But here's Bobby Orr in a Chicago Blackhawks uniform. Unfortunately, the Bruins let him get away. Didn't play long in Chicago. In fact, this uniform here is actually airbrushed, which was common by Topps back then if you look closely. It's a Bruins uniform that's been airbrushed to look like a Blackhawks uniform. Not a good card to look at. And here's another one. It's the same thing. It's an insert from that same year. Again, it's been airbrushed. Bobby's actually wearing a Bruins uniform that's been converted to a Blackhawks uniform. Very painful cards to see. Next up, we have. I would have to say he's the second best player all around. I told you at the beginning, very close between the three of them. This is Gordie Howe. This one I sent off to him many years ago, and he signed it. It says, "Hi Steve, best wishes, Gordie Howe." Just like I said, it's just a regular card. I think it came out of the 1990 Pro Set series. But just to have his signature and his name, everything on there, makes it special, at least to me anyways. Next up, we got a 71, 72, can't talk, Topps Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey. All right, and then the third guy in this list we've been talking about, the great Wayne Gretzky. Here I have a 84-85. This is a Topps. See how young he looks there. All right, then you have this is a 1980-81 Wayne Gretzky record breaker. I mean, Gretzky put up numbers that I don't think we'll ever see anybody come close to. I don't even think the players of today aren't going to touch that. Connor McDavid's and stuff, they'll never get close to what Gretzky did. All right, here's a 1986-87 O-Pee-Chee. Of the great Wayne Gretzky. All right, now we're just going to go into varying players. I got Bernie Parent. This is a 1973-74 Bernie Parent, great Flyers goalie. Actually started with the Bruins organization. I have the 65 Coca-Cola card that actually depicts him in a Bruins uniform. He's one of the two goalies in the Bruins set in that part of it. And the other one is Jerry Cheevers with hair. If you know Jerry Cheevers is bald. But it actually shows him with hair. Not one of the few cards you'll find that has hair on there. Another little tidbit for you. Here's a 1972-73 Topps Tony Esposito, Phil Esposito's brother, with the famous butterfly stance. I used to have a Blackhawks jersey when I was a kid. Obviously, as I told you, I was a Bruins fan, but I actually had the Bruins black jersey, the white one, Chicago Blackhawks red one, and the Minnesota North Stars. Don't ask me why I get the North Stars, but I must have seen it when I was a kid, and I had the North Stars jersey too. Playing street hockey or playing on a pond near our house, we should always be playing hockey. Arguing, I had my Bobby Orr jersey on, or the other one was an Esposito, I believe. And then the Blackhawk one didn't have a number on it, but you play with that sometimes too. So, but here's another one of Tony Esposito, 1974-75 Topps. Tony was a great goalie, Hall of Famer. All these guys are Hall of Famers that I'm showing. I'm sorry, I should have said that at the beginning. All right. And we got this is a nice Esposito card, 70-71 Topps. Phil Esposito. If you look, he's got dress pants on. And let's see, I think he's got Freddie Stanfield's gloves on. Number 17, Esposito wore number 7. So obviously this was shot quickly. I would think that's his jersey. He was an assistant captain. It looks like it is his jersey, but like I said, the gloves on his, and he has like slacks on in the picture, so something different on there. All right, then you got a 1968-69 Stan Mikita. This is a Topps. Great Blackhawks player. I want to say he's like Czechoslovakian or something. I forget. One of these cards I have coming up of him may have it on the back. Yeah, it doesn't say on here. But anyways, this is a 73, 74. Oops. Tops. Love the action shots of some of the older hockey cards. One of the few players in that day, in that time, that wore a helmet, believe it or not. Most of these guys didn't have helmets on. Let's see if it says it on this. Yes, he's born in Czechoslovakia. And a 72, 73 O-Pee-Chee has on the back of it. One of the iconic uniforms, Blackhawks. You can see the Indian on the chest. You got to love the original 6 in the NHL. All classic uniforms, and a great rivalry between them all. And here's the last Makita, the 72, 73 Tops one. All right. Then you got a Bruins nemesis coming up. Great Ken Dryden. Ended his career early, became a lawyer, but for the years that he played, boy, he was a dominant goalie. At the time, they considered him very large, although he was 6'4", which, I mean, he's a big goalie, but there's a lot of guys in the NHL now that goaltenders are that height or even taller. But Ken Dryden had a way of always coming up against the Bruins and beating us. Always played big. Here's the 1976 insert card. These are one of the earlier inserts for Tops in hockey anyways. They had them in baseball, obviously, for years. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive it's one of the earlier ones that they made. I mean, they had like test runs, different things, but not where it went out nationally. That's one of the first ones. All right, here's a 76, 77 of Dryden with the infamous mask that he always wore. Red, white, and blue. The La Habitant, the Montreal. I'm not saying that. You people out there that can speak French, go ahead and correct me. But the great goaltender, as I told you, a Bruins killer. Here's another one of them, 1978, 79. There you go. And one last one, we have a 72, 73 Tops. One of my favorite sets for hockey. I love the background colors and just the way they look. Here's the back. In fact, I haven't been showing you the backs of these cards. So, another Bruin killer. Teammate of Ken Dryden's, Guy Lafleur. Here's a 1973, 74. Guy just passed away a couple years ago. The Flower, he was known as. Ended many a Bruins game. Not the way we wanted, but great player. Can't take that away from him. But he had a way of doing the Bruins in. And he has a 76 insert again, like I told you, those randomly inserted. You used to get one per pack. All right. Next guy up is a member of the Buffalo Sabres French Connection, Gilbert Perreault. He was a great player. He has a 78, 79 Tops of him. You had him, Rene Robert, Richard Martin, all formed that famous French Connection. And we got another one of those inserts. This is a 1977. Basically no chart change. If you look at the back, I should be showing the backs of them, but very little difference. In fact, there's no difference between the 76 inserts and the 77. He was number 14 of 22. It wasn't a large set by any means. Like I told you, you should get one in every pack. But it was a little bit of a accomplishment to try to get them all. You seem to get the same guy over and over again. So, who did I used to get? I used to get Syl Apps, played for the Penguins. Good player, but he's not a Bobby Orr or a star player. It seemed like every time I opened packs, he was the one that was in there. So I traded some that I could, and then I still have a stack of those guys of his today. Here's a 1973-74 Gilbert Perreault. Okay. Next is a guy from the team that used to rival the Bruins all the time, the Broad Street Bullies. Their captain, Bobby Clarke. This is a 1975-76 or Clark's All-Star card. Tell you a funny story real quick. I have cap teeth in the front from playing hockey as a kid. Played out in the pond, and I got a stick in the mouth and shattered my teeth. Well, anyways, it happened on a Sunday, and I can remember um, going home and telling my mom. And in those days, you're talking about in the early '70s. Um, you could call up the dentist, and our dentist said, "Oh, bring him down, and I'll open up the office." That would never happen today. But I said, I always beg my mom, "Mom, please, can I go just keep like this?" Because I thought I looked just like Bobby Clark. You remember Bobby Clark had some jagged teeth in the front when he played. Obviously got those fixed, but to me that was the neatest thing. I was like, oh, I thought that was a nice look. So I was trying to tell my mom to talk her into let me have them like that. But needless to say, it got fixed. Sunday he prepped it, and then I believe it was that week, Monday or Tuesday. So I didn't get to keep them very long like that. Thank goodness. Here's another insert card. This is a 76 of Clark. Actually, this one, yeah. Told you there's very little difference between 76 and 77, just the year date in the bottom. So, all right. Here's a guy that played for the Bruins, but came over in the Esposito trade. We got Brad Park and Jean Rattel. Here's Jean Rattel right here. Obviously, his greatest years were as a Ranger. Really gentleman, real great gentleman, classy player. Well liked by the opponents and stuff. Didn't play dirty, very clean, but great player. Had some good years with the Bruins, but his primary years were, like I said, with New York Rangers. Here's another one right here. This is 1970. What is this? 72, 73. Again, one of the classic original 6 uniforms, the Rangers. Or blue shirts, some people like to call them. All right, next up is Rogie Vachon, originally a Canadiens goaltender. Depicted here in the 75, 76 cards with the LA Kings. Very small, diminutive goalie. Was he 5'7", 165 pounds, not very big. Quick reflexes, covered a lot of the net. Great goaltender. All right, here's another Ranger great from the past. They had 2 goaltenders. They had Eddie Jockman, who I'm going to show you, and Gilles Villemure, who took the Rangers a long way. They were a tough opponent for the Bruins. We had some battles with them over the years in the 70s. It barely escaped a couple of times the series to go on to win the Cup. But great rivalry, and if it wasn't Jockman, it was Villemure. One of the 2 always in net for the Rangers. But this is a 1972-73. It's the tops of Eddie Jockman. And we have a 73-74 of Mrs. Jockman in action. Like I told you earlier, what I like about these hockey cards is the action shots. And used to get quite a few of them in the 70s for one reason or another. Whereas today's cards are more pose photographs, or you do have some action ones, but not like back then. All right, here's Marcel Dion. Oops. This is I want to make sure it's the tops. Yeah, 72, 73 tops. Again, I told you from my favorite set. I told you guys about the background colors and just the way the card looks, the logo down below with the bar on his name. And the team name on the side. Just, I think, a sharp looking set that year. All right, this is Brad Park's rookie card. This is 1970-71. It's the tops. Brad Park was a great Ranger. Like I told you, he came over in the trade for Esposito, came to Boston with Jean Rattel. He had some great years for us, don't get me wrong, really great years. But wants to see, if it wasn't for Bobby Orr, he would have been the greatest defenseman during that time period that played. But unfortunately, fortunate for us, unfortunately for the Rangers, he was the second best defenseman at the time. But don't get me wrong, he was tough too. He didn't want to mess with both those guys. Believe it or not, Orr and Park, they weren't ones that went around fighting a lot, but not the guys you really want to drop the gloves with because they could put a beating on you. Look it up sometime. You see some of the fights they had back in their day, and painful for as much as the was for me to look at those Bobby Orr ones in a Blackhawk uniform. Was the same thing for the Ranger fans. Here's a 77 insert with Brad Park in a Bruins uniform. Like I said, he came over with Jean Rattel. And going the other way was Phil Esposito and Ken Hodge. And I think we sent Joe Zanussi, went with them too. But I remember as a kid being upset about it because I was a huge Esposito fan. And then I guess in the long run, you would say it worked out better for the Bruins. The Rotel and Park may have been more of an important cog for us than Esposito was for the Rangers. But Phil Esposito was right there, one of my favorites of all time, one of my favorite Bruins growing up. So speaking of favorite Bruins growing up, here's a 1973-74, it's an Peachy, excuse me, Terry O'Reilly rookie card. Taz. You talk about tough. This guy, probably I'd say one of the two toughest Bruins. Him and Stan Jonathan, a little Indian that played for us. Jonathan was only 5'8", and he with no neck. He had but he'd fight anybody, big, his size, didn't care. He'd fight anybody, all comers. He didn't drop the gloves on anybody. O'Reilly was the same thing. O'Reilly was not so. O'Reilly wasn't the best on his skates when he first came up. Learned to be a lot better skater as his career progressed, and actually had some decent scoring seasons. Excuse me, sorry about that. Got a little fighting this allergy thing. But O'Reilly was crazy. The fans loved him here. When the old garden was getting ready to be torn down, they actually gave him the penalty box that he has in his house. I guess because he spent so much time in it. But Terry O'Reilly was beloved by the Bruins fans, the gallery gods, and up in the old garden. But like I said, great player. A lot of good memories watching him play. Next is the great Bobby Hull for the Chicago Blackhawks. This is a 1979-80 Topps. The Golden Jet. This is Brett Hull's father. I'm sure most of you guys all knew that, but those of you that didn't know it, that's his dad. All right, next up is Mario Lemieux, another great player, 88, 89 Topps. He's right there too, top 5, I'd say all time. Top 5 or 6. If you're a Penguins fan, I'm sorry if I offended you by having him that low, but don't think he's quite in the top 3, but he's probably number 4 right behind them. Great player. Could do a lot with the puck too. Unfortunately, he played at a time when Gretzky was dominating too. So here's another great Ranger from 1970-71, Roger Aubert. Nice looking set. I mean, and they have like the spotlights behind them right there. Different background depending on what teams they're showing. Here's the back of it. As I've said a million times in my videos, I always like the old cards with the little cartoon guys. This one's got them right there. Baseball has them, football, basketball, they all have them on there. All right, just got a handful left here to show you. I've got a, let's see, what is this? I should 68, 69 Jean Bellevue Topps. Great Montreal Canadian. Again, I didn't see him play, but from all I've read and videos I've seen, another guy who was a lot like Jean Martel, very classy, clean, well respected by the players on the other teams. And here's Brett Hull. I showed you Bobby. Here's his son right here. This is 1988-89. It's his rookie card. Great goal scorer. All right, then you got Adam Oates, one of his teammates, same year, 88-89. He also played in Boston. We've been blessed as Bruins fans. I don't want to go on and on because I know it goes out everywhere, and not everybody's a Bruins fan. In fact, there's people out there probably hate the Bruins. But we've been blessed as an organization with a lot of great players, either came up through our system or were acquired via trade or even signings. But we've had the luxury of watching a lot of great players play here in Boston, and this is one of them, Adam Oates. Next is Brian Trottier from the Islanders, 76-77. That's his rookie card. Great player on a great team. All right, here's a Edmonton Oilers goaltender. They could use him in the upcoming series right now. I think that's it. The Oilers have a solid roster, with the exception, I believe they're weak in net. I think you'll see an upgrade over the summer. There's rumors that Linus Ullmark, our second goalie we have here, that plays with Swayman, may be heading in a trade. Edmonton's one of the places that's been mentioned. But if you could have had Grant Fuhr today, they'd be in a lot better shape. This is an 88, 89 Topps of Grant. Helped backstop the Oilers to several cup victories. And here's the 87, 88. All right, then we got a Henry Richard from the Montreal Canadiens. This is a 68, 69. All right. And we have Paul Coffey. This is a 1982-83. It's an Peachy. Early on in his career, not his rookie card. I want to say this is his third year. Great defenseman. He was their version of Ray Bork, the great Bruins defenseman. And last but not least, you have for 1980-81 Dennis Potvin from the New York Islanders. Solid defenseman. Okay. Well, I try to keep them usually short. I'm almost hitting 30 minutes today, so I apologize for running long. I haven't made one in a while. I've been feeling kind of sick lately. I got a few things going on, so I apologize for not making them more frequently for all of you that follow me. And I have great comments and stuff coming from people. But I do appreciate everybody taking their time to watch my videos. And I'll try to make another one within the next week or two with a different subject. But I want to do vintage hockey. I want to touch on it today, being that hockey season's almost coming to a close. We're in Stanley Cup Finals are getting ready to start. I plan on doing some more football ones and obviously baseball. I get 90% of my collection is baseball. So, okay, well, I wanted to say thank you again. Hope you guys have a great week. And as always, keep on collecting. Until next time, take care.